Andy Crowner, is that you?
It is. Good morning.
So, what is the construction going on just south of the hospital entrance? A lot of equipment there yesterday.
I saw that too. I was out there showing some houses, and I actually don't know the answer to that. I'll check with my fire chief, and I'll text it to you.
Darn. And then as you go down, keep going south towards Sunnydale or Sunnyfield or Sunnybrook, whatever that is.
I think, yeah.
There's work all in that ditch going down towards that new housing development. And that seems to be just like regular stuff. Or are they preparing, are they going to keep expanding that little area? Do you know?
Well, I mean, some of the work down in there, we've been talking about that south lift station that we're working on. So
yeah.
That's down in that area too.
Oh, that's true. That is exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you could be seeing that. And we actually had some issues, so we've kind of been back down in there doing some more work, and we hit some old facilities that were under the ground in an old lift station that nobody knew about, so we had to kind of change that project a little bit and go back in there.
Paul in the chat room says, I don't know if this is an answer to my question. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Urgent care and an MRI facility.
Urgent care and an MRI facility. Thank you, my friend.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and Paul in the chat room is saying Heritage Medical is moving. I don't know if that's part of this or not. So there you go. Easy.
I was just out there the other day. We dropped off about 2,500 cookies for the hospital staff. RE/MAX does a cookie day every year. We normally take them to our banks and loan officers and people like that, but we took them out to Great River this year. And I was just commenting to my mom about how great it is to have Great River out there in a wide, spread-out campus compared to going to an Iowa City or Minneapolis, where, it's hard to park and get to where you're going, and it's so easy to get out there and get in. So it's just such a nice facility.
I've never thought of it in that way, but that's absolutely true. It is daunting to go to the University of Iowa anymore because it's wedged in every little nook and cranny. You don't know where to go in. You don't know where to park. The whole thing is baffling anymore.
Yeah, and we were up at Mayo a lot 2 years ago, and that was kind of the same way. And of course, if you could imagine the hospital still being downtown on 4th Street there, how it would be the same way, kind of wedged into our downtown.
Right. Yeah, that's true. This is Andy Crowner from the West Burlington City Council. I saw some new construction, surveying, leveling, grading going on over next to Pruse in the business park as well. I think
I'm striking out for you today. I'm not sure what's going in there either.
Well,
I thought it was going to be a bank, and now I'm not sure.
I think it's a dentist.
Okay. Somebody
said, but I know that. But I thought, well, I'll wait and ask Andy because he'll know, except that he doesn't know.
Well, let me tell you, what's encouraging about that is we haven't seen much movement on the real estate side on business this year.
Right.
But here just in the last couple of weeks, we've had some good news on some new companies in the area bringing in some jobs, and so I think we'll have some news on that soon.
You bring up a good point about that. When the COVID thing hit, it did interrupt in a major way any number of business plans. Those would include expansion, remodel, new locations. All of this must have really, you've spoken at great length about how hot the residential market is. I would guess that there's a lot of, what do they call it, pent up business or industrial type demand too out there. They're just afraid to act quite yet until the vaccine is out, I suppose.
Yeah, we have quite a few actually really nice commercial buildings available in the area right now, and there's just nobody taking that leap and hey, I want to start a business that the government may shut down tomorrow. So, I think that's starting to open up a little bit, but at least we're seeing some big movement, some bigger companies interested in the area right now. And, that kind of matches what we're seeing on a real estate side, too, with people moving in from Illinois. And actually, I still keep getting quite a few calls from people in California wanting to head this direction.
Yeah, so Elon Musk did yesterday, well, not to this direction. Sadly, he moved to Texas, but They're fleeing the big cities and the big states like California, New York, some of the other northeastern places for, you'd have to say we have to look pretty good relative to all the chaos going on in so many places.
Yeah, and we see that every day in the news, and I'm thankful for our, little small town of not only West Burlington, but Burlington as well. And it's so nice to be able to walk down the street and know your neighbors and feel pretty safe. I know we've struggled with that some here in the last couple of years in our greater area, but in comparison to living in Chicago or something like that, we've got a great town here, and I tip my hat off. I know I kind of sent over some information about our fire department.
Yeah,
this year they've done such a great job raising money for Toys for Tots and needy families here in our town this year. I think they normally raise about $11,000 every year for that, which is great. But I heard yesterday, I think that total is over $18,000 this year. So
wow,
done just such a great job. Yeah.
Yeah. So we interviewed the sheriff, I guess it was, about the Toys for Tots, and he said the West Burlington Fire Department came through like gangbusters when they really needed them. So kudos to them.
Yeah, they really stepped up this year, and I know they almost had you in a trap down near Walmart one day. They kind of had you going 4 different ways, but they get out there with their lights and their boots, and they just do such a great job. So if you see a West Burlington fireman here, thank them for their work, because they raised a lot of money, and thanks for everybody that gave this year. A lot of families that needed it.
JJ in the chat room says, does anyone know what's being built opposite the Recplex? JJ, we don't know what the word opposite in this context means, but if you mean next to Prue's on Cattywampus across from the Recplex sign, that's a dentist, I believe, from Fort Madison. This is Andy Crowner. So we settled the water rates, did we, or are we done with that?
We've done the first part. So we had to, for our loan, kind of state how we were going to pay this back. So we could set those rates. And so we've done that. And so overall, we've set kind of a staggered or a staircase kind of fee structure. So in February of 2021, which is coming up here pretty quick, we're going to raise rates a total of 10%. Then you move forward to the summer in July of 2021, we're going to have the next 15%. And then the last raise of another 15% in January of 2022, so over a year from now. So what's left on that, though, is exactly how that impacts our actual rate structure. And what we could do is, instead of just applying those amounts, 10% on everybody, is we could look at that and go, okay, our low-end users are 2,000, 3,000 gallon users. Maybe they only have an 8% increase, and our high-end million-gallon users have a 12% increase, something like that.
Is there a minimum residential fee no matter how much water you use or don't use?
You're right, and it's basically the fee for, I think we're at 3,000 gallons right now, but we're going to take a look at that as well and see. I think right now we've got 4 different tiers of users, and that's something before us, too, is we could drop that down to 2,000 and create a new tier. We've actually got before us kind of 8 different options of creating different tiers and different rates. And I know my hope would be I don't want to chase business away either by hitting them with a huge water increase. But right now they do pay quite a bit less for the more gallons that they buy.
Mm-hmm.
You get up there in the 500,000 gallon, and it starts to really drop down. And
well, it's like anything else, right? You buy in quantity, you would expect to have that kind of break. I don't see that as unfair, do you?
No, not at all. And you have to do that some in order to keep business in your area. That's just a fact of running a city. But when you look at this increase, it would be possible to shift some of that onto those users. And it's not saying that we could shift all of it, but maybe we can shift a little bit just so we don't hit our fixed income, low-end users of the water resource quite as much.
Yeah. So there's no meeting this week, right?
You got it. Meeting next week. We'll have our normal meeting, and then we also have a work session afterwards, which will start our budget process for the next fiscal year. So our first meeting on that is always kind of getting a wish list together of what we want to do next budget year. We get all the department heads in a room, and they kind of give, their input on what they need, and our city manager goes through that. And then council and the mayor also gets together and says, here's some priorities we have for the city that we'd like to see done, and maybe some things that we find not as important that maybe we need to cut.
Right. And, of course, plenty of time for public input for those of you that have great ideas on how to keep our budget streamlined here in West Burlington.
Yeah, though in 4 years on school board and about a year here on city council, I'm not sure I've ever seen anybody show up at a meeting and say anything. And, of course, during COVID times, we need all that virtually. But,
right.
Public input is good, and we don't get very much. So, appreciate anybody that wants to send over some information.
All right. Over to real estate, if you would. RE/MAX Realty is where Andy Crowner works from here in downtown West Burlington, and at andycrowner.com. We've talked kind of extensively about how strong the residential market is, but I noticed you had some numbers out to prove that. Tick off some of the highlights of what is now almost the end of 2020. Well, I mean, we're in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, about every month I've tried to give you some numbers about, how the market looks versus 2019. And so going back and just looking at November, the number sold this time was about the same, 43 this year versus 44 last year, so one less house in that month. Things normally do kind of slow down during this time, but we've been quite a bit higher. But the volume sold is still up about $600,000 in that month. So even though you saw about the same number of homes, actually one less, the volume was up 11% in terms of dollars. That means the average sale is up 11%, and the median sale is up about 13% versus last year. And why, here's the real story, is the quantity of active houses in our area. And this is throughout all of Des Moines County, single-family homes. Last year, you'd be looking at 368 houses on the market. This year, you're sitting at 280.
Wow.
That's 24% less homes available today, so that's driving up your prices. We've got a lot more buyers and a lot less homes, and I know we say that pretty much every time you and I talk, but it's just a fact of our county, and it's actually a fact across the entire United States.
But even that, I mean, I feel like a real average, if you look back 10, 12, 15 years on average, I think it's over 400 normally, right? And we're down at 280? Wow.
You got it, yeah, and it's been that low, here since summer. It's really been down. The low interest rates really have driven a lot of first-time home buyers, so you've got more people out there actually looking to purchase, and so we've been able to turn some rental properties into single-family homes. People buying those and living in them, but there's just so many more buyers that we have right now compared to the homes that. They typically move fast. The market's moving faster, about 12 days in our area right now, faster than last year. And some of that...
12 days means what exactly?
Well, 12 days faster than last year. So if we were sitting at, 115, I think it's like 103 right now. And part of that is it takes 8 weeks to close a deal from the moment it's an offer is accepted. So
right.
A lot of that time is just the paperwork time. So you take 8 weeks out of that, and we're moving really fast.
AndyCrowner.com is the website. So where does RE/MAX stack up in the big scheme of all of these pretty good numbers?
Yeah, RE/MAX has been doing incredible this year, and when we look at these numbers, it's always all of southeast Iowa, so you're not just talking Burlington, you're talking all the way to Ottumwa, and you're talking Keokuk, Fort Madison, Mount Pleasant. That whole area, and RE/MAX is having, I think, their best year ever, I believe, and they've done 500. Oh no, I'm sorry, they've done $71 million this year. That's just our little RE/MAX right here in West Burlington, Iowa.
And sales, wow.
And they've sold 490 units, so 71,490 units this year. I believe obviously Mom's been at RE/MAX for 20-some years and is one of the great owners there. I think this is the best year they've ever had in terms of numbers. So
fantastic.
Yeah, doing really good, and we've got a great mix right now of people that have been in the business a long time, a lot of knowledge there, and then we've got a lot of young go-getters that started in the last year or two. So RE/MAX is really out there, as we say, hustling. RE/MAX hustles. So
congratulations on your success and their success, number one. And I think going forward, I can't imagine that people are going to do anything else but invest more in what is their safe harbor, so to say. The pandemic did highlight, if nothing else, the importance of having a comfortable, practical, functional, and somewhat roomy house, which is more than a home now. It's a place where you at least have to work from home, at least some of the time, all of us. The kids sometimes are home and out of school for long stretches and sometimes short stretches, but in any case, that's always a possibility going forward. Recreation, if you look at things in a practical sense, like a dining facility, if you will, or kitchens and this kind of thing, people are rediscovering that, I guess would be the way to say it, and just generally spending more time at the old homestead. It's more important than ever.
You're seeing that across the country, not just here, that people are putting more into their homes, that it's becoming a more important thing as you spend less nights going out to eat and less nights going out and enjoying, other facilities, bowling alleys and all those kind of things where normally you'd take a night or two off during the week and go to those kind of places, those kind of entertainment venues, and now those nights are being spent at home playing card games with the family. And so you want to have a house to enjoy, and I'm sure anybody with kids home right now knows that some extra square footage in your house you can spread out a little bit is very helpful as well.
It can feel pretty crowded up in there. I'm so grateful that all my kids are grown and gone. I couldn't imagine doing this in certain, years of elementary, middle, and high school years. Just if you think about the time they are at home and not in school, and then sort of multiply that out, it'd be impossible. I don't know how you parents are doing it. Crazy.
Yeah, I have a fairly private office, which is nice, so I can stay here and work. And we really don't go into RE/MAX very often right now, just because of COVID things.
Right.
It's nice to have that, and I couldn't imagine being in a little, 800 square foot house right now would be pretty tough. So. Yep. Hey, if you are and it's time to get out, give me a call and we'll find something bigger for you.
So Facebook, Andy Crowner, or andycrowner.com, his direct website. And he's our guest on Wednesdays to update the West Burlington scene and the real estate scene. I appreciate it, Andy. Anything else going on before I let you go?
Yeah, just a quick mention. Again, we've got that new Neighbors Helping Neighbors program through the city of West Burlington, where if you need help with raking leaves, shoveling snow, those kind of things this winter. We have some people that are willing to help you, and if you are willing to help, you can also sign up. We do background checks on both parties through the city to make sure you're as safe as possible, so you can sign up on westburlington.org for that service.
Beautiful. westburlington.org. Thanks so much, Andy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. You have a good day.
All right, take care. andycrowner.com is the website, or you can find him if you prefer on Facebook.